Hey, welcome to Season 2 of the Let's Talk podcast, a podcast hosted by WellHouse Church, where we talk about what it's like to be a Christian Monday through Saturday, to live as a person of faith in a culture against faith.
So let's talk about New Year's resolutions.
Let's do it. Are you making New Year's resolutions?
I'm not making New Year's resolutions.
So, okay, wait, before we do this, note to the audience, this won't be published for a couple weeks after the new year, but we are recording it before the new year. Mm-hmm. So, like, we are still talking, like, we're still in a place where it's comfortable to talk about New Year's resolutions.
I'm not doing New Year's resolutions. I'm necessarily. I've got goals for the end of the year.
Okay.
I've got a yearly goal.
So you're doing the goals method, not the resolutions method.
Yeah, because the resolution method does not work.
In what way?
So like, I know. So I've been in this group, and I've made fun of these people, and I hang out with a lot of like, a lot of people who spend a lot of time in the gym is the only nice way to say that, I think.
You got a bunch of meatheads.
I've got a bunch of gym bros.
Yeah.
That I hang out with.
Yeah.
And they a few weeks ago were like, "Are y'all getting ready for the resolutioners?" And it was like I remember being that guy in the gym. Like, I used to be that guy, and I was. It sounds kind of messed up, but it's true and it's funny. The resolution method just doesn't work. Just in practice, January 1, I'm going to hit the gym. January 15th, you're no longer in the gym.
So, but is that because the resolution method didn't work, or because the type of resolution you tried to make was not a realistic resolution? I
mean, I think that's a fair way to say that. Sure.
So what? Okay, so you said you're not a resolutions person.
No, I'm not. I'm a goals person.
And so, what are some of your goals for the new year that you can share?
Graduating. Right, like
whoop whoop. That's not anything close to a resolution. So
no,
keep going. A big deal though.
It is a big deal, but that is my goal.
That's happening in May?
Yeah.
Nice.
Excited.
So close.
I'm so excited. By the time this comes out, about 5 months, and that's exciting for me.
Yep.
But that is a goal. Another goal is to be more involved at my current job, at my day job.
Okay.
In some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
And then another goal is to something that you and I have talked about off camera. If you need refreshers, we'll talk about it later. And then possibly after I graduate, to start some sort of little private service where I make drinks for parties, for like private parties.
Oh, yeah. So those are all goals, but they definitely don't fit anything close to the category of like a resolution.
Okay.
Because let me look it up. But resolution actually means I guess
like it's more or less kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Well, so I guess resolution is a bit of an ambiguous word, because resolution could just mean like a plan, a verdict, like a legal word.
Right.
But I don't think that's how any of us are using it.
No, I don't think so.
I think the way that we're all using it is as a resolution of like problems that currently exist in my life. Like I'm going to resolve these.
Right.
None of yours really fit that category.
I don't actually know if that's how people use it.
Well, some of the most common resolutions, the one that we're going to talk about, are weight related, which people deem a problem. Reading more, which people deeming a problem, that they're not reading enough, not traveling enough, not spending enough time with family. They need to exercise more, which means the problem is they're currently not exercising enough. Most of them, I think, actually do fit into that resolution of a problem category. Quit smoking is a big one. So I think that's actually how most people use it.
Okay.
And so none of yours, you don't have any that fit that kind of resolution category.
None that I want to like word that way.
Got it.
Yep. You know, like they're all things that like that I know that I want to happen, but it's not things that I want to be so strict on that if I don't do them, I'm going to feel like a piece of crap afterwards.
Yeah. I get that.
It's like these are things that I want to happen, but let's not be so like they're on the back burner here. You know?
Yep.
There's more important things at stake.
Yep. 1000%. I get that. So on my end, I'm not anti New Year's resolutions like Clayton is.
I'm not anti. Never. Whatever. I'm not anti.
You literally said I don't like resolutions, so I set goals.
I just said that I don't think that system works for most people. But that does not mean that I am anti-resolutions. It gets people in some sort of mood where they're doing something for themselves. If they fall off, I mean, cool. But, like, that's most people.
Yes.
So it still gets you in the mindset of doing something better for yourself. Still, like, if your resolution is to get into the gym, don't hear this as me saying, like, oh, you're not going to last. Like, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is
most people won't last.
No. Largely, you get in this mindset that is January 1, I'm going to get in the gym and I'm going to go 5 days a week. And by January 15th, you're like, oh, I probably need a rest day.
Yeah.
You know, and then you never go back. This resolution thing that people are doing, it doesn't seem to work on some level. For whatever reason, it just doesn't work.
Well, I think I know why it doesn't work for most people, and it's because they set unrealistic expectations for how they're going to resolve the problem.
Right.
For instance, like you said, the problem is I'm not going to the gym, so I'm going to make a New Year's resolution of going to the gym and getting, quote unquote, getting in shape, which thanks to all my new anti-diet dietitian friends that are really making me rethink all of that whole idea of exercise and dieting and restrictive health and all of that. So I'm not sure that I think any of that is necessarily a good idea in the traditional way that we talk about it. But if the problem is, hey, I don't have enough movement and exercise in my life, going to the gym, there are lots of other resolutions to that problem that don't involve, hey, I'm going to go 5 days a week starting, the first week of January. Maybe a better way to approach that is say, hey, I'm going to go, if going to the gym is the type of movement and exercise you want to pursue, maybe the better way to do that is say, hey, I'm going to start the first week of January and I'm going to go at least once. Mm-hmm. And my goal by the end of the year, by the end of 2022, is to be going to the gym 5 days a week.
Right.
That gives you a gradual thing, at which point you have no need, you have no timeline of when you have to meet these demands.
Yeah, agreed.
So I think resolutions are trying.
They are trying.
Because people don't resolve their problems well.
Well, okay, so you're using that word trying differently than I am.
Yeah. Trying as in they're hard, difficult, not sustainable. Yeah.
I say like you're trying to do something better for yourself. And that is a good thing.
Well, yeah, you're saying attempt.
Right. You are attempting to do a good thing for yourself.
I believe that. Yeah.
So, yes, do that. So I'm not anti-resolution.
Well, the only reason, the reason I use the word trying in that way, in that context, was because that's what I think you're communicating is that these things
they're unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, on mass scale, they're not sustainable, and that's why they quote unquote don't work.
Right.
I don't really like all-inclusive language, and so that's why I use the word trying.
Fair enough. So I am the type of person to set unrealistic expectations for myself.
Yeah.
So if I set end goals that are largely achievable, and then take little steps towards them as I can and as I do, I still reach the goal. It's just I don't put as much pressure on myself.
Yeah.
And if I don't if I don't go to the gym, quote unquote, 5 days a week in January, I don't feel like a piece of crap. Yeah. That is my logic there.
Yeah. No, I get that. So for me personally, I'm usually in the category that Clayton is. Normally, I am kind of anti-resolutions for the same kind of reasons. Because for me, the actual problem with them is I think that by and large, they set people up for failure.
Largely.
Which makes them feel like a piece of crap, just like you said, about themselves,
Yeah.
which just brings their own self-image and self-esteem and self-confidence down, which is never a good thing for anyone.
No.
So most of the time, I'm actually very close to your camp.
Yeah.
The one caveat I would make to this is let's look at why and cause people do resolutions.
Why people do resolutions?
Why do people do New Year's resolutions?
Well, I think you kind of answered that question earlier. They saw a problem and were trying to fix it.
But why do they do it at New Year's?
Because it's a fresh start.
Yes.
Or it feels like a fresh start.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's a better way to say it, is it feels like a fresh start.
Correct.
Yeah.
Even though there's literally nothing different from the day before.
Yeah.
But it feels like a big enough of a mile marker. And you're already doing things, especially like in the business world or in the leadership space, like everybody starts doing, year-end visions and planning out their year and like what are the big goals we're going to set for the year, which you kind of talked about, which off camera we need to talk about setting goals that are actually identifiable and measurable. But anyways, I think because of that, the new year feels like a very easy way to get a fresh start, quote unquote. The problem is that it's really not a fresh start. I mean, you get a new year, but none of your problems that existed the year before are gone. This is the same thing. Like, we get these all the time, right?
Right.
We get a quote-unquote fresh start every new day.
Right.
Every single day, 365, we get a quote-unquote fresh start.
Right.
The beginning of every new month.
Beginning of every new week.
Beginning of every new, we get quote-unquote fresh starts all the time.
Yeah.
And so I also think that's one of the reasons they don't last is because, it's like, there's always next year, right? Like fresh starts are always coming. Except when there actually does need to be an identifiable marker of a fresh start. So like in my current situation, 2021 was a god awful year. It can die. It can literally like.
It was not a good year.
Yeah, no, done in the like. Let's go bury it in the gravesite. Let's perform the funeral. I need it gone. If you don't know, I got divorced in 2021. By the time this comes out, more than likely it will already be final. I signed the papers a couple of days ago. So I got divorced. I got divorced because I got cheated on and left for the person that I was cheated on with. So like, yeah, good riddance 2021. Get the hell out my life.
Yeah. Feel that.
In situations like that, I feel like New Year's resolutions can be really helpful because you do need a fresh start. You need an identifiable marker that says, hey, that chapter of my life is behind me.
Yeah.
And so then you embrace upon what are the things that need to be resolved. What do I want to change about myself? In what ways? And maybe that's a better way to talk about it, because the way that we've been talking about it, and this is what my comment was, right, is like the way we try to resolve these problems is problematic, right? Because we're just like snap our finger and think that we're going to build this plan to fix them overnight.
You try to overcorrect.
Correct. And so maybe, and it's because we have a problem that we need to change. We need a solution to the problem. Maybe we shouldn't think about New Year's resolutions as change. Maybe we should think about them as growth.
Right. That's where, yes, if that's how you want to talk about it, absolutely. That is where it should start.
And so in my own situation, I look at myself and go, okay, where are some areas in my life that I need to grow? What are some things that I need to do in this new year, in this new fresh start that I'm creating for myself? Where are some areas that I need to grow to put the past behind me? And so like, I'm going to embark into some specialized therapy.
Right.
That's one of my New Year's resolutions, is like to embrace a new category of therapy that I've never done before and actually quite terrifies me, but I know I need to do it because it literally resolves lots of problems in my emotional and mental core. Right. So that's an easy way to think about resolutions. Another one is like, okay, you mentioned like you want to be more involved in your work.
Yep.
Okay, so not exactly in the same way, but a little bit similar way is like, I have issues at WellHouse that I need to resolve. I need to, in order to put the past behind me, through 2021, getting a divorce, we, in our content and creation and the way we put out and publish content, I had developed some really unhealthy habits. I was staying up till 3, 4 a.m., like editing content, trying to get it out. Like we were recording content the week before it was being published, or sometimes the week of it being published.
Right.
And like all literally having, because we put out 5 pieces of unique content every week.
Yeah.
And I do all the editing on them. Literally me having a deadline 5 days a week. No. And having to stay up till like 3, 4 a.m. to meet those deadlines just made some really unhealthy patterns. And I wasn't sleeping and those kinds of things, and which was affecting both my mental health. I could feel myself headed into burnout. Like I needed to resolve this problem. And so the New Year is a great way to do that.
Yeah.
And so, as you know, because this is the first episode, 3 of our 4 podcasts are not having content published until like the second week of January.
Yeah.
Because we needed that time to record content, get back ahead, get back to a place where we've got content scheduled out, edited, ready to go, so that I'm not always under these deadlines.
And also get over sicknesses.
We both did get sick.
And multiple times.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's been an interesting break.
It has. Yeah. Very, very fair. So, like, I think these are these are ways you can do resolutions that work, because it's like, okay, hey, what am I going to do? I'm not going to just immediately jump and add something onto my plate. And I'm going to try to take some things off, some stress off before I add new things in.
Well, and here's the big picture of this, right? And this is another reason why I don't want to say that like I'm anti-resolutions, right? If we're going to talk about it as a step in growth.
Yeah.
That is a step in deification.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If we're going to talk about it as a basis of, I see this unhealthy thing inside of me, I want to resolve this. How is that not pursuing divine likeness?
It is if it's a divine end.
Right.
So you could have some unhealthy things that you're like, I don't know.
I don't know, like
crap. Let me. This is a very common issue in 12-step programs. It's like, hey, I'm an alcoholic, and so I'm gonna stop drinking this year. And my methodology for doing that is I'm gonna overeat.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not pursuing divine likeness because you're subbing one issue for another.
Right.
But yes, largely, if you are achieving a divine end,
right,
you are pursuing divine likeness.
And is that not the basis of the Gospels?
Yes.
Right. Restoration, pursuit of grace, pursuit of divine likeness. That is why I think that these are good things if we're going to talk about it as steps of growth.
Yep.
Resolving issues within your person. But if you're going to set unrealistic expectations for yourself, you are setting yourself up for failure.
Yep.
And I'm sure this isn't the first time that you've heard this. But also I know that that's going to step on some people's toes.
Yeah.
It's not meant to hurt feelings. It's meant to be honest and real.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to change our focus for the new year and New Year's resolutions. Instead of thinking about them as, I'm going to go cold turkey on this thing, or I'm going to go jump straight into this big project. Take little steps, and do it healthy.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me in the way that if you're going to do New Year's resolutions, the best way that you can do them is you can identify the area of need, and you can set a realistic goal of a realistic action that you're going to start doing to begin the new year, and then give yourself what will that look like at the end of 2022? Yeah. Where will I be growing into this? So I'm going to start real low. Mm-hmm. And I'm not actually going to even map out a plan. I'm going to let my body and my mental health kind of dictate the pace of this.
Right.
And my circumstances of life and all those kinds of things. But I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to, if one of them is, quit smoking. I think that's a great one.
Fantastic one.
If it's going to quit smoking, it's not going to, your New Year's resolution shouldn't be, I'm just going to cold turkey stop. Yeah. January 1, I'm not buying any more cigarettes. You're
setting yourself up as a former smoker that you're going to smoke again.
Yeah. Maybe the better way to do that is say, hey, if you're like, for instance, let's say you're a pack-a-day person.
Cut down.
Maybe the way to do that is say, okay, beginning January 1, I'm going to make sure that at the end of every day, I have at least one cigarette left. So all I've done is cut out one stick per day.
That's a good. The way I did it is I'm just not going to leave my house with my pack of cigarettes anymore. It's going to stay in its spot in the outdoor kitchen, so that I can't smoke throughout the day. And that's how I force myself to cut down.
Yeah.
I don't know. That might be helpful for some people too. thinking about it that way.
I think the way you should do it is just like say, hey, there's one small thing that's measurable that I'm going to begin doing, and by the end of the year, I'm going to set a goal that by the end of the year, the problem is resolved. Not that on January 1, 2022, the problem is resolved. Thanks for listening to this episode of Let's Talk. If you enjoyed this content, you might consider checking out the rest of WellHouse Church's podcast. A Closer Look, which is a Bible podcast, Practicing Presence, which is a spiritual formation podcast, and Pints and Perspectives, a conversation where we drink beer and talk theology.